want to thank Maurice Buring for sponsoring this Seder in memory of his parents, Jacob and Ruth Buring. Also thanks to Linda Joffrey, who really, even when she wasn't feeling well, she just kept plowing away. Marissa Baguette, Diana Lazar, Julie and Marshall Levy, Shirley Simcha, for all their help in making this happen today. So when we think of Tu B'Shvat, we think of all the beauty of the land of Israel, and that's what tonight is all about. Continuing with our Seder, Tu B'Shvat, Higia, Chagai Lanot, one of the famous songs for Tu B'Shvat is that it's here, it has come, it's exciting. When a Jew knows it's Tu B'Shvat, may not have a lot of rituals to it, but it's exciting. The day of the 15th of Shvat, the Hebrew month, has arrived. Holiday of trees, the new year for trees. The source of this idea of a new year for trees is in the Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah. Reading number 1, we ask Jacob Reuben to please read for us.
There are 4 days in the year. There are 4 days in the year that serve as the new year, each for a different purpose. On the 1st of Nisan is the new year for kings. It is from this date that the year of a king's rule are counted. And the 1st of Nisan is also the new year for the order of the festivals, as it determines which is considered the first festival of the year and which the last. On the 1st of Elul is the new year for animal tithes. Rav Elazar and Rav Shimon say the new year for animal tithes is on the 1st of Tishrei. On the 1st of Tishrei is the new year for counting years, for calculating sabbatical years and jubilee years, for planting, for determining the years of Orla, the 3-year period from when a tree has been planted, during which time its fruits are forbidden, and for tithing vegetables. On the 1st of Shevat is the new year for the tree. The fruit of a tree that was formed prior to the date belonged to the previous tithe year and cannot be tithed together with fruit that was formed after that date. This ruling is in accordance with the statement of Beis Shammai, but Beis Hillel say the new year for trees is on the 15th of Shevat.
Thank you very much. Now we'll eat something of wheat, because firstly we like to have dessert first, and because of the 7 species for which God praised the land of Israel. Wheat was the first. Take a piece of cake or cookie or cracker and say the following blessing, hoping that the blessing will elevate our eating to an act of holiness. So I'm going to start with dessert here. I'll take this nice piece of cake here. Thank Marissa for the delicious meal. And we'll say the following with great intent. And you can answer Amen or say it together with me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei mizonot. The wheat, the first of the 7 species for which Israel is praised. And now we'll recite those verses in Parshat Ekev, Deuteronomy 8, in which God praises the land of Israel for its fruit and for its bread. We'll ask Jennifer to read for us.
Okay. Therefore, keep the commandments of the Lord your God, walk in his way and revere him. For the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, a land with streams and springs and fountains issuing from plain and hill, a land of wheat and barley, of vines, figs, and pomegranates, a land of olive trees and honey. A land where you may eat food without stint, where you will lack nothing, a land whose rocks are iron and from whose hills you can mine copper. When you have eaten your fill, give thanks to the Lord your God for the good land which he has given you.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. But in the end of days, it will be even better, says the Quran Shabbat 30b. And furthermore, Rabbi Gamliel sat and interpreted a verse homiletically. In the future, the world to come, Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel, will produce cakes and fine wool, garments that will grow in the ground. As it is stated, let abundant grain be in the land. From wheat, we make bread, which is our main sustenance. Chita, wheat, is gematria, numerologically, 22, which corresponds to the letters of the Hebrew alphabet, which makes up the Torah. which is the main spiritual sustenance of the human being, both bread, wheat, and Torah. Trivia. We pause for trivia. Which of the following was not a cantor at ASB? Cantor Gornicki, Cantor Goldstein, Cantor Franklin, Cantor Szymanski, Cantor Shapiro, Cantor Meller. Name that cantor who is not a cantor at ASB. Don't forget, I'm going back all the way back to 1854.
Oh, Meller?
I'm sorry, that is not the correct answer.
No.
Greenblatt.
Franklin, I say. Franklin was
Rabbi
not.
Nathan Greenblatt was the cantor of our congregation, although he may have had other titles as well.
Franklin was not a cantor.
Oh, I thought you would say that, but actually there was a Moses Franklin who was a cantor of the Bethel Emeth before the yellow fever epidemic.
But Franklin's not a Jewish name.
Right.
Then it must be
Gornicki?
Szymanski. Szymanski. It
Oh,
has
no,
to
no,
be.
Szymanski was a cousin.
Yeah.
Well, there's no-
Greenblatt.
Gornicki.
No, Gornicki
no.
was related
He
to
was-
Messenger.
Goldstein.
I haven't heard.
Goldstein is
Greenblatt
correct.
Lane, but he just
Who said
wasn't-
Goldstein?
Yeah, Nick Goldstein. Yeah.
All right, Martin Lazar,
Yeah.
2 points. 2 points
All
for our
right.
family, and 1 extra point for Jennifer reading. They're pulling into the lead. We will have more questions as we proceed. And name that cantor.
Chaim Shapiro.
Thank you very much,
Not
Cantor
all
Sanford. Chaim Shapiro. Thank you very much.
Ephraim.
Ephraim Shapiro. Sorry. Ephraim Shapiro. Thank you very much.
Sherwood
It's all on
Gotham.
our ASB archive. We will have to put it out in an email again. We have an ASB archive online, and you can see all the cantors right there. Of course, our own Cantor Sandberg we'll hear from later. All right, the first cup. So you can take your Kedem white grape juice, and put it in your little cup, or you can get a fancy cup like mine, and you can a Kiddush cup, and you can pour it in. Now, when we drink this cup, don't drink the whole thing, because we may need some more for later. Now, corresponding to lower world and to winter, we take the cup of light grape juice and we say as follows, with great intent, because we want to endow this wine with all the holiness that is potentially in it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei b'ri hagafen.
Amen.
Amen.
Don't drink it all. Wine is perhaps the forbidden fruit of the Garden of Eden. Maybe that's what they ate, they should not have eaten. Yet, when we say a blessing over it, or Kiddush over a cup of wine, we fix that first sin. In fact, as David describes in the Psalms, God made wine to help us rejoice, of course, in moderation. Psalm 104, Yain samach levav enosh, wine gladdens the heart of people, face glows from oil, and bread satiates the heart of the people. Talmud has much to say about wine. In Brachot 135a, it says, Amar Rabbi Shmuel ben Nachmani, he said, in the name of Yonatan, how do we know you can only sing songs to God over wine? Meaning in the temple, they only libated wine, sometimes water. As it says, the vine said, I stopped producing my wine, which makes God and man happy. If it makes people happy, sure. How does it make God happy? Rather, we can only sing songs to God over the wine. There are different types of fruits. Some are so imperfect that you can see the dross from the outside. They have shells, such as nuts and pomegranates, oranges. Some have inner imperfection, such as dates, and olives, and mangoes, which have pits, sometimes large pits. But some have no pit and no shell, such as raisins. By eating these fruits, in order from least perfect to more perfect, we travel from the lower worlds of doing, asiyah, to the next world of making, yitzirah, to the next world of creation, bria, and finally to the world of atzilut, of transcendence. We begin in the lower world with the nuts and things with shells. Almonds remind us that they are the first to blossom at this time. As we said in that famous song, Hashkediya Porachat, the almond is blossoming, as are the forsythia and the cherry blossoms. And we had that nice, they call that Indian summer a few days ago. It also reminds us of Aaron's staff, which proved he was chosen from among the tribes, when just overnight, his staff went from wood to blossoms to almonds. We now eat our almonds, oranges. We have these small oranges. Might want to eat that. It's a whole ton. Coconut chips, pistachios. By saying a blessing, and it's on in your container that says shells.
Do
By
cashews
saying a
count?
blessing, we elevate it. Yes, but we elevate it from inanimate to the world of holiness and godliness. Let's have a special intention when we say these blessings. And our favorite of these, we lift and we say the following. So you can take your whatever's favorite. Don't take the bananas, that's for later. But almonds, mandarin oranges, coconut chips, and pistachios. I'm going to take a whole orange, make the blessing like this, hold it in my right hand, and say the following with great intent. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri ha'etz.
Amen.
At this time, you can also have an almond. You can have coconut chip. There are pistachios. Very good. Pistachios right here. If you didn't buy the official kit, you can take out an apple or something and eat it as well. Okay, I see there's a comment over here. Cousin Shapiro, thank you very much. All right. So now, on our sunflower seeds and dried banana chips, we can say the following. Another blessing. Let's try to make it meaningful as well. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam borei peri ha'adama. Want to say something or make a joke or anything? This is a good time to chime in as we're eating. Okay. All right. Enjoy that. Very good. That was things with shells. We read about the importance of nuts in our tradition. The Midrash says in the Song of Songs, I came down to the garden of the walnuts to see the fruits of the riverbed, to see the grapes, or if the grapes are flowering, if the pomegranates are blossoming. So it talks about the garden of walnuts. And the Midrash asks, why are Israel compared to a walnut? Why not a chicken? Just as walnuts, you see it as it is, as if it is just wood. And the inside is fruit, is not noticed. But when you crack it open, you find it full of food. So Israel are modest and humble in their deeds. The scholars among them are not noticed and do not boast and declare their praise, like Tani over here. No, I'm just kidding. But if you investigate, you will find them full of wisdom. And also, just as when this nut falls in the mud, what is inside is not ruined. So too Israel, even when they're exiled among the nations and suffer so much, their deeds are not soiled. There's a beautiful almond tree, which we can see, and I think they're starting to blossom even today in the land of Israel. Trivia. What is the name of the woman who wove the tapestry at Asby? 3 points. If you don't know the answer, that means you were not bored during services and you did not look at the cover inside the Siddur or the Chumash to tell you the answer to that question. If you know the answer, that means that you had the Birnbaum Blues and you were looking in the back of the Siddur to see what's on, when Rosh Hashanah is in 1999.
Miley Cyrus.
Who's the architect? Much easier. Who's the architect?
Francis Ma.
Thank you very much. 2 points for Jennifer Roberts, the Roberts team. Who made the cover, the mantles from the Torah? She came here in my day. That's a hard one. The answer is Miriam Nizzi Helfman, Francis Ma we mentioned, and Ina Golub made the Torah covers, the famous Torah cover maker. She actually came here and helped craft our Torah covers, which we still have, of course. You can see it in the Shabbos. All right, the second cup. So we take some of the dark grape juice. So if you want, you can fill up you can use some more of the light grape juice, and then just put a drop of the dark grape juice
Yes, no.
into the light.
The light.
We're going
The drop of
from
the dark.
winter to the spring. We now pour a drop of the darker juice as we head to the spring, as the world of Yetzirah, making, and we drink. We already made a bracha, so we'll just say l'chaim, to life.
L'chaim.
Chaim.
L'chaim, l'chaim.
Don't drink the whole thing,
Chaim
but you can say something.
Shalom.
Chaim Tov L'Shalom. And now we'll move to our next section, and Linda really did a great job. Diana and Marissa, beautiful trays here. Even though we don't have those tiered trays, we have it Anshei. Beautiful job here. And the things with pits inside. Now we could eat the olive, dates, dried apricots, and mango. In the special order that they're in the verse in Deuteronomy we read before, that Jennifer read, the date shemen. So the olive has preference over the dvash, over the date. So we can eat that first. And we think about the land of Israel, and Jews throughout the ages didn't always have a Seder, but Jews always had fruits, and the fruits remind us, the land of Israel, and olives remind us particularly the olive trees of Israel. Date palms, they grow in different parts of Israel. The olives grow everywhere, the dates more on the coast. Enjoy.
No eating, no prayer. Not bad. I don't usually eat olive.
Olive trees are quite beautiful. They
Remember
really are.
one of the first products of Israel years ago were olive wood, right?
Love.
My
Oh,
father has a really old book of flowers from Israel. Olive wood, the covers of the book were made out of olive wood. So many things from
Wow.
olive wood, because there's so many olives. All right. The Midrash states regarding the symbolism of olives, another of Israel's fruits. A fresh olive, beautiful fruit, God called your name. That's what Jeremiah says. Just as olive oil gives light, so the Beit HaMikdash, the holy temple, lights up the whole world, as it says, and the nations will walk to your light, Isaiah 60. That is why our ancestors were called a fresh olive tree, since they enlightened everyone with their faith, especially if they're interfaith chaplains. It doesn't say that. All right. Dates also have symbolism, as says the Midrash.
Like dates.
And we turn to Scott to read reading number 3.
Rabbi Hia Bar Luyani taught, what is the meaning of that which is written? The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. He shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon. If it is stated palm tree, why does it state cedar? And if it is stated cedar, why does it state palm tree? What is added by this double comparison? He explains where it's stated palm tree and where it's not stated cedar. I would say that just as in the case of a palm tree, its shoots do not replenish themselves when its stump is cut down, so too, heaven forbid, with regard to a righteous person, his shoots will not replenish themselves, i.e., he will be unable to recover from his fortune. Therefore, it is stated cedar in the verse. Just as the cedar grows new shoots after its stump is cut down, so too a righteous individual will thrive again.
Yes, beautiful. Beautiful date palms here from the Aravan near the Jordan. Yes. There were many great scholars who were cut down in the Holocaust, and yet they have children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren studying Torah today. All right, trivia. Who was a rabbi of the Anshei in 1955?
Rabbi Baum.
Rabbi Baum.
2 points. Sorry, close for the Lazar team, but 2 points for Charlie Franklin. 2 points for Charlie Franklin. Rabbi Baum, very good. We'll give him 3 points. Good.
Okay.
Now, here's a very controversial question. Don't tell certain people that we're asking this question. Who started the ASB barbecue contest? There are 2 correct answers.
Ira Weinstein.
2 points.
Harvey Reisman.
Good answer.
I think Sheldon Smith.
Sheldon
Smith.
Another person who took credit for it was
Sheldon Smith.
Melvin Katz. Okay, moving along. We will not debate that at this moment.
Eat your date.
Have a board meeting about it to discuss it later on. All right, moving along.
Yes.
We pour a bit more. So we take a little more, you can put a little more white grape juice, a generous amount of white grape juice. Then you can pour more of the dark grape juice. You want to get a little darker, you don't want to have it, shouldn't look like dark grape juice. But we're on the third stage, corresponding to the upper world of Bria, creation, and to summer, and drink again. Here we go. L'chaim, health, no more coronavirus, not 19, not the variations, nothing thereof. Here's to full immunity soon, to one vaccination then the next. May as be live forever.
Chaim Tovim,
Chaim,
Shalom.
Chaim.
Chaim.
L'chaim.
Right.
The
Now we
life.
turn to the most perfect foods: grapes, raisins, figs, and carob, my favorite. Everyone knows, a lot of the people in my inner circle know that I'm a carob fanatic.
Ooh.
And I had some carob Foxes gave me a few days ago. I didn't eat it yet because I wanted to make a shechianu with the crowd here.
I love carob.
I have a special stash of this straight from New York. And
Bucks, I'm sorry.
Don't let the cops know.
Special stash right here. Right, don't let anybody know about this. And we take this out here. And I have a nice whole thing, and I'm going to make a shechianu because I haven't had Buxer since last year. Some
Can we
people hate
see it?
Buxer. They would never make shechianu, but since I like Buxer, I will make shechianu.
Can we
However,
see
there's
it?
also some wonderful fruits of Israel. We have grapes and raisins, famous in Israel. Also figs. When I was in yeshiva, they had wild figs growing on the trees. We would pluck them, and they were so delicious you cannot imagine. So I'm going to make a shechianu over the carob, and you can answer me. And we thank God for this time that we've lived to this time. We didn't, God forbid, we weren't struck down by the coronavirus. Some people had it, some people didn't. Thank God we're still alive today. Some of us are already immunized, and hopefully we and all of our friends and family will continue to thrive. All right, we'll make shechianu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam shechianu v'kiyimanu v'kiyanu b'zman hazeh.
Amen.
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 Eat this first.
Carob. Oh, carob. Oh, carob is better than chocolate.
My wife is wondering what this is. I see. It's a strawberry. It's a dried strawberry. So don't, that's a great adama if you haven't made adama yet. Strawberries also, you can eat the whole thing. What's nice about strawberries is you can eat the whole thing. Let's see, Bloom says it's good. Let's see. Carob was good. And
Fig is wonderful.
figs are wonderful. Figs are so great. The fresh figs in Israel, I would die for it. It was so amazing. All right.
When I was in Spain, there were figs growing there was a fig tree growing in the parking lot, and you couldn't pick them fast enough. There were figs all
Were they good?
over
Were they good,
the.
Charlie?
Yes.
Now there's no pit, no shells. We eat the whole thing. All in all, we had 10 fruits corresponding to the 12 tribes, or at least 10 fruits corresponding to the 10 sphirot, 10 expressions of God in this world. Midrash describes how blessed Israel is with grapes. Once Rabbi Judah the Prince, who wrote the Mishnah, came to Bnei Brak. He found there a cluster of grapes that looked like a calf, 3 years old. It was so big, it looked like a calf. Torah is compared to dates. How so? Well, actually, with figs. The Gemara in Eruvin explains. And we'll ask Ian, you with us, Ian, to read for us, reading number 4.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Ian, you're on.
Okay. Why are the words of Torah compared to figs? Just as a fig tree, as long as you search it, you will find figs. So with Torah, as long as you engage in it, you will find a good idea. Carob is so popular that you could almost live on it all year. The Talmud in the Ta'anit tells that Rav said that each and every day a divine voice emerges from Mount Horeb, Mount Sinai, Bendosa. And yet for Hanina, my son, a kav, a very small amount of carobs, is sufficient to sustain him for an entire week, from one Shabbos Eve to the next Shabbos Eve.
Yes. So there were great sages like Saint John, like Hanina ben Dosa, one of our great pietists, who lived on carob all year. I thought I saw it green in Israel. Here it's a little bit black. The tree still green, but it grows everywhere. My cousin said that Israel made a big mistake when they planted all those trees in Israel. Or those evergreen trees should have planted carobs. So now they're starting to get smart. Plant carobs, and the deer and the wildlife can come and eat the carobs. The poor people can live off the carobs as well. Trivia: what's the original purpose of the offices above the cantor's old office on the ECA building, and of the old office, Rabbi's office, which became Martha rooms? For 3 points.
To take naps?
For the choir to meet.
Maybe a choir loft. Maybe. They do have the choir, the old robes are in there. Well, if I'm not mistaken, the office above the cantor's office, the cantor's office was supposed to be the rabbi's office. Secretary's office was supposed to be the next office, and maybe another secretary in the other office. And they imagined that the secretaries would never grow old. Special blessing. And my office, old office, downstairs where became Martha's office, Allah Shalom, I think was supposed to be the coat room, the invisible coat room.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Moving along, the fourth cup. We turn now to the darkest of cups. We add another drop. You can add as much of the dark grape juice as you like and drink as much dark as you like. Forget the way. The world of Atzilut, where it's closest to God. Here we have no fruits to express the perfection of this world. There are no fruits in this level. That would be blasphemous to have a fruit to express something so sublime. L'chaim to our children and to the next generation.
L'chaim, l'chaim.
Yeah.
L'chaim, l'chaim to life.
Great. Maybe at the end we'll ask the Chazan to lead us maybe in a Michya after the song. All right. The first mention of Tu Bishvat Seder is from the Jerusalem Kabbalist, Rabbi Moshe Chagiz, who used to eat many fruits and pray to God that he should renew this year for the good. He would learn the first chapter from the Mishnah of Rosh Hashanah, as we did, and also of Bikurim, about first fruits. So let's read about how the Jews used to bring their first fruits to the Beit HaMikdash with great joy. So is Mark or Rebecca available?
Yeah, here I am. Those who lived near Jerusalem would bring fresh figs and grapes, while those who lived far away would bring dried figs and raisins. An ox would go in front of them, his horns bedecked with gold and with an olive crown on its head. The flute would play before them until they would draw close to Jerusalem. When they drew close to Jerusalem, they would send messengers in advance, and they would adorn their bikurim. The governors and chiefs and treasurers of the temple would go out to greet them, and according to the rank of the entrance, they would go forth. All the skilled artisans of Jerusalem would stand up before them and greet them, saying, "Our brothers, men of such and such place, we welcome you in peace."
The flute would play before them till they reached the Temple Mount. When they reached the Temple Mount, even King Agrippas would take the basket, place it on his shoulder, and walk as far as the temple court. When he got to the temple court, Levites would sing the song, "I will extol you, O God, for you have raised me up." Sounds like the Kindred song. "And you have not let my enemies rejoice over me." Psalm 30, which we say every morning. In the first official book of Tu Bishvat Seders, the pre-Eitz Hadar, which I have a photostat copy, you can get it on HebrewBooks.org. Prayer appears. Let's say it together, though it's very Kabbalistic and mystical. I have a modified translation here, we can say it together. May it be your will, Hashem, our God and God of our parents, that with the power of the eating of the fruits and the saying the blessings over them, that we will enjoy the secret of the roots of those fruits to bring us an overflow of goodwill, blessing, spirit of generosity. Look out from the place of your dwelling and bless us for a good year.
Give it blessings
forever. Glad
in it with joy in your presence.
And may the land
And give its
produce and the treat of the field
its yield.
yield.
And on them should
On them should come a blessing of goodness to bless the fruits in us.
Whether many or few, and all the sparks of holiness that were lost and spread out, all the lost spiritual opportunities by us and our parents by the sin of Adam who ate the fruit of the trees against your will. Now
they return to be included in the tree of life. All blessings return to their rightful place.
Here go perfectly reflecting the improvement of ourselves. Bless the state of Israel, bless the people who live therein. May the fruits and people of the land flourish this year and always.
Amen.
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 All right. And the Chazan usually joins us with one of the most beautiful songs from this story in Ta'anit. Here's the text of the Gemara, if you'd like to allude to it. And we'll ask the Chazan to take it away. And if you could lead us in the final blessing of Al Michya, if you're holding that there, that would be great.
Okay, thank you, Rabbi. This is a great idea, bringing people together on Zoom. I can't think of a good pun though for Zoom here. So, but as I relate every year before singing the song, there's a story in the Talmud in Gemara in Ta'anit 5b, that when Rav Nachman and Rabbi Yitzchak were hanging out with one another, when they were discussing Torah with one another, and when it came time for them to part ways, so Rabbi Nachman said to Rabbi Yitzchak, "Give me a blessing." And Rabbi Yitzchak said to him, "I'll tell you a story." To what's this comparable? It's comparable to one who was walking through a desert and who was hungry, tired, and thirsty, and he found a tree whose fruits was sweet and whose shade was pleasant, and a stream of water flowed beneath it. And he ate from the fruits of the tree, and he drank from the water in the stream, and he sat in the shade of the tree. And when he wanted to leave, he said, "Tree, tree, Elon, Elon, how shall I bless you? If I say to you that your fruits should be sweet, your fruits are already sweet. If I say that your shade should be pleasant, your shade is already pleasant. If I say that a stream of water should flow beneath you, a stream of water already flows beneath you. So therefore I'll bless you as follows, and I'll say that may it be Hashem's will that all the saplings which they plant from you be just like you. And so how shall I bless you? If I bless you with Torah, you already have Torah. If I bless you with wealth, you already have wealth. If I bless you with children, you already have children. Rather, may it be Hashem's will that your offspring shall be like you." Here's a beautiful song written several years ago with some of these words from this passage in the Talmud. Elon, Elon. Elon, Elon, bama avarechecha, bama avarechecha. Elon, Elon, bama avarechecha, bama avarechecha. Shehiyu peirosecha mitukim, harei peirosecha misukim, sheyeh tzilcha noeh, harei tzilcha noeh. Sheyiyu peirosecha misukim, harei peirosecha misukim, sheyeh Tzilcha Noem, Harei Tzilcha Noem. Ela Yehi Ratzon, Ela Yehi Ratzon, Shekol Nitiyot, Shenotim Mimcha Yehu Kimoscha. Ela Yehi Ratzon, Ela Yehi Ratzon, Shekol Nitiyot, Shenotim Mimcha Yehu Kimoscha. Okay.
Bravo.
Shkoa. So do you lead us in the Al Micha or with the Al Eitz?
Okay, and Al Hagefen, or we didn't have enough?
If you have another sip.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, al hamichya v'al ha'kala v'al hagefen v'al pri hagefen, al ha'etz v'al pri ha'etz v'al tenumas hasadeh, v'al eretz chem netov baruch haba asher hotzisa min chauta l'avosenu, l'echol mipriyah v'lispol mituvah. Rachem na Adonai Eloheinu, al Yisrael amecha v'al Yerushalayim yirecha v'al tzion mishkan kavodecha, v'al mizbechecha v'al heichalecha, uv'nei Yerushalayim yir HaKodesh b'meira v'yameinu, V'aleinu l'socha, v'samcheinu b'vinyana, v'nochal mipiriyah, v'nispah mituvah, v'nuvarechu aleha b'kedusha v'tahara, ki atah Adonai tov v'meitiv l'kol v'nodeh lecha al ha'aretz v'al hamichya, v'al ha'kala v'al pri ha'gafen, Baruch atah Adonai al ha'aretz v'al hamichya v'al pri ha'gafen.
Amen.
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 Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our ASB annual Tu Bishvat Seder. I thank you all for joining us tonight, and thank all those who participated, those who made it possible. And again, thank Maurice Buring for underwriting some of the additional costs this evening, and all those who participated in the meal as well. Thank you. We appreciate it, and we hope indeed that all of our fruits of our labor should not be in vain. And whether it's our children, our efforts, everything should be blessed. And we want to bless each one of you. That we should continue together for good things.
It was very, very good. Most enjoyable.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Alan Furman. Where are you from?
Toronto, Canada.
Oh, great. How'd you hear about us?
I have connections. Nice to meet you, Rabbi.
Yes, same here. Thank you for joining us.